One outdated retirement model you'll want to forget. This article is so. Oh my goodness. Thanks for the content, people. Thanks for providing. Yeah, I just got out of the shower. Look at my hair. Look, at least I have some Fast Eddie. Fast Eddie will be on YouTube saying, you should dye your hair. At least I have some. All right. So let's go into this here, my friends. Jill sent this to me and I had to laugh. This is from James Brumley. Isn't that old guy, Wilford Brumley or something like that? What the hell is the art? Wilford Brumley? Isn't that something about oranges or something? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Put a comment. Wilford Brumley. Peaches? I don't think it's peaches. All right. Anyway, who's old James Brumley? I don't know. One outdated retirement rule you'll want to forget ASAP. Remember, we say ASAP here at Heritage Wealth Planning. We don't say ASAP because people who like ladies say ASAP. People who don't like ladies say ASAP. So if you want to like the ladies, you say ASAP. If you don't want to like the ladies, you say ASAP. You know what I'm saying, okay? Almost everyone who plans to retire has heard of the advice that you should aim to replace 80% of your work-based income. All right. For decades, this rule of thumb was on target. Was it? Was it on target there, James Brumley? Was he? Yeah, James Brumley. The theory is that simply having a job consumes 20% of your wages. Well, that's this guy, dude. What are you talking about? Once you're no longer employed, you'll automatically dial back around 1/5 of your usual spending. That's not how it works, James Brumley. The reason, the premise of the stupid 80% rule, which is dumb, I'll share with it here in just a second, is that you're paying 7.65 in FICA. All right, you're paying some income taxes. And then you're probably contributing to your 401k and whatnot. That's the basis of the freaking 20% reduction. Isn't that you're ramping down your spending? Is you have to pay those things. Come on, man, it's rookie stuff here. However, even the best intended and once helpful advice is subject to eventual failure. This may well be the case with the 80% rule now, thanks to uneven cost of living increase that disproportionately impact older Americans. What? Replacing only 4/5 of your salary may leave you cash strapped in retirement. You're better off replacing a higher portion. So then it goes on to say retirement isn't as cheap as it used to be. Well, I completely agree with that. Thanks, Obama. So many people get mad when I say Obama. I said that the other day. Some guys I hate to tell you, but Obama has been president in X amount of years. I said, oh my goodness, dude. Get the stick out of your butt and smile. It's okay to have a sense of humor. My goodness. Oh boy. All right, so the BLS, U.S. residents between the ages of 65 and 74 spend a yearly average about $58,715 simply living life. That's just less than their post-annual income tax, post-tax annual income of $61,000, leaving a difference of $3,000. What? I thought we're all running out of money. What? So you're saying people spend post-tax, people spend $58,000, but their post-tax income is $61,000, which means their pre-tax income is probably a little bit more than that. Pablo, stop that. It's going to kill my chair over there. And you're saying one expected expense of retirees will lose fiscal ground? Well, isn't that what we have savings for? I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. If I told you there's a retirement crisis out there, the average person spends $58,000, and the average person has $61,000 coming in, but was taxed. I think most people say that doesn't sound like a retirement crisis. Right, let's just actually check. I wonder if these numbers show up here. Let's go to the Survey of Consumer Finances. I don't think they got expenses on here. No, they don't. They don't have expenses. They have debt, but they don't have expenses. Let's just go to before tax family income. What do you say, 55? Is that what you said, 55? Yeah, 62,000. That's before tax family income, 62,000 right there. That's a Survey of Consumer Finances, different than BLS. But interesting. I'm just curious about net worth here. Net worth, 364. Net worth is net of debt, by the way. And then we're going to look at total assets. At 473. It's pretty, not too shabby. All right, let's keep going. Let's see here. Homeowners, meanwhile, are still responsible for the inevitable increasing home expenses. Okay, whatever. The second biggest expense is unavoidable health care. Well, it's actually health insurance. You don't pay for health care. You pay for health insurance, and the people who provide you the care are the healthcare providers. All right, just it's a kind of thing that bothers me. Just because you have insurance doesn't mean you have health care. I just like to share that with people. Insurance does not equate to care. In fact, we have a sick care methodology here in the U.S. We want to care for you while you're sick. We want you sick so we can care for you so we can make that money. Let's see. No matter how you handle these options, brokerage firm Charles Schwab suggests between $450 and $850 a month for expenses not covered by basic Medicare. That's freaking stupid right there. So that's just dumb. So basically, what I'd say is you get a supplemental policy. You get. So if you're telling me right here, your Part B and Part D between them is about $200 right now, and you're saying I should have a next of 400. What do you say? 450 to 850 on top of that? That's just dumb. Supplemental. I had a lady up there in Oakland, Michigan. That's where it's. I don't know where that is. North of Detroit or something like that. I think she said she had a Plan G, supplemental Plan G, obviously Medicare B and D, and a Plan G. I think she said she was paying like, well, I don't know, like $250 a month or something like that. I said, we'll call Cheryl. I said, Cheryl, you kidding me? She goes, no, I'm telling you. I said, maybe it's $300 a month. Because I charge Right Capital, like a eyelash, I charge people $550 a month for everything. That's Plan B, Part D, and a supplemental policy, G or N. That's why I use Right Capital, $500 to $550 a month per person, inflated at 5.5% a year. And that obviously depends on your county. Some counties are more expensive, some counties are less expensive. Maybe so if they're saying $850 on top of Part B and Part D, that's just silly. And if you need long-term care or an assisted living facility, that added cushion won't be enough. Okay. Data from Gallup indicates 1 of every 4 people living in the United States who are over 65 forego the purchase of other necessities to pay for health care. All right, so that means at first there's no link. I don't know. I can't validate that study. Data from Gallup, because I don't trust any of these guys. Because when they see this stuff, I don't. Just because they're saying, I want to read the study itself, or at least the data, because he doesn't provide a link. It freaking ticks me off. If you're going to say that, provide a link. Data from Gallup indicates 25% of the population forego the purchase of other necessities to pay for healthcare. What does that mean exactly? I mean, what are the other necessities? That's still 75% of the population isn't doing that. Similarly, 11% of that crowd has foregone the purchase of medicine within the last 12 months to its high cost. I don't deny that. 100%. The big pharma is in control of the world. We just know this. We are subsidizing foreigners for cheap medicine, cheap EpiPens and stuff like that, and we're paying the bulk of the prescriptions. 100%. It's not good, and it needs to be when Trump wins re-election. All right, it needs to be looked at again and again. And we know Trump will be on the gravy train if he hires another big pharma guy to run HHS like he did last time. We got to look at that because this is crazy. It's crazy that we are funding basically subsidizing other countries' cheap medicine on our backs. It's nuts, dude. But be it as it may, we still have Part D, which gives us a limit on how much you have to pay. Anyway, so let's see. BLS reports that food now costs 24% more than it did before the COVID pandemic. Thanks, Obama. All right, so anyway, so this is stupid because we know there's no 80% rule is all based on smoke and mirrors to begin with. If you haven't got this book, I'll put in a link in the show notes. This book will quickly disabuse you of the 80% rule. In fact, I wonder if because we know Aon created this. When I first started doing this channel, I did a video on that. One of the first videos I got that started to get some traction. I remember I had 100 views. I was like, damn, I got 100 views. Let's see if they got Aon in here. I don't see Aon in the index. But is Aon Insurance? I got videos on this. I just can't remember. But he's from Canada, so he might not show up. It was Aon and another. I forgot. Anyway, the 80% rule is based on fake stuff from Aon Insurance Company. I've done videos on that before. But get this book right here. It'll quickly set you straight on the 80% rule. The whole thing is just stupid. And anyone who thinks there's an 80% rule doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. They just don't. And then this guy's going to say, you should have a 100% rule instead. All right, love your thoughts. God bless. We'll see you tonight on the live stream. We got to talk some Trump. Unfortunately, we got to talk some Trump because the whole thing's crazy. God bless.